looking at these will be a fabulous companion with so many locomotives on the market. Hi there everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jennifer Kirk, welcoming you up here to the loft on Weir Yard. It's really great to see you, and today we're going to be looking through some of the livery samples of the Hattons Genesis coaches. Now Hattons has very kindly sent over 14 of these on loan, and it's a great honour to be able to see them up close and personal, and I'm going to share my findings with you. There's a whole host of different liveries, and these should represent pretty much all of the detail variations that will be available across the range, although not every version is here. These are really just an overview of the different liveries. And actually, looking at these, there's some of these liveries I think are going to be sleeper hits. So without further ado, come with me and I'm going to take you through these Hattons Project Genesis livery samples. You might remember that we had the opportunity to look at some of the EP samples of the Hattons Genesis coaches, and I was really pleased with what I saw back then and very impressed, and really grateful that Hattons gave me the opportunity to take a good long look at those. Well, now we've got the livery samples, and again I'm really grateful to Hattons for sending over, there's actually 14 different livery samples. And these cover a lot of the different variants of the actual detail differences between coaches, as well as giving an overview of pretty much all of the batch 1 liveries. So I'm just going to lay these out here, and you'll see that it's really quite an eclectic mix, but nonetheless I'm going to talk you through all of these. So I'm just going to get them all out, and then we'll go through them one at a time. So first up, and what has really caught my eye with these, is the Great Northern Railway teak. Now I've always been a big fan of the Hornby Super Detail Gresley teaks, and really thought that their finish was such a level that it couldn't really be surpassed. But actually, when we take a look at this Great Northern Railway livery, you'll see there that there is so much depth to that grain, and this actually really did impress me. It's not a livery that had been on my radar, so to speak, but seeing the livery samples in the flesh really has turned my head on this one. Hattons have really managed to get that natural wood look effect really well, and it has that slight washed out in service look to it. Now just bear in mind I've got this under a very strong light, and also I should also probably point out that these have been around the block. I've seen them photographed with most of the magazines, and there's at least one other YouTuber as well has had these out and given them the once over. So bear in mind that these have been handled, prodded and poked. So if you see any damage, I haven't seen any damage yet, but if you do see any damage, then bear that in mind. Now some of these are the lit up versions, and I know that we did have a bit of a problem with the EPs, that there was something of a flicker with the lit sample that they sent back then. And it's really pleasing to see that Hattons have addressed this, and we've got 4 versions here which light up. I think it's these 4. But when you look through the windows, in fact on that one you can see some of the wiring, so I'm hoping that Hattons will be able to figure out a way just to make that a little bit less obtrusive. But actually when it's running on the layout, and I have had these running, it's not too bad, and that lighting really does work well. And one of the really great points about that, and I know that there has been some concern about possibility of bleed through from coach lighting, I've seen no evidence of that with these Hattons Genesis coaches. There's really a lot of thought gone into all aspects of the construction, And I'm pleased to report that light bleed is definitely not a problem, not even in the slightest. And especially where you've got, for example, these big flat ends, there's no light visible coming through the body of this coach. I'm also really impressed that there's no obtrusive pickups as well. I think that they're picking up from the axle needle points in there, but it really is nicely integrated into the coach. Another area that's really nice to see on these Genesis coaches is that the running boards are, just like we saw on the EPs, they're still that brass etch, and it's really nicely finished, but that also means that these are really quite robust. And it just goes to show that sometimes detail doesn't necessarily come at a cost of it being difficult to handle without bits falling off in your hands. The rest of this livery application is really nicely done, and it actually does remind me of some of the coaches that you see places like the Bluebell Railway after they've been in service for a little while. So they've had some natural weathering and exposure to sunlight. So really, really impressed with these. Another area that I should bring to your attention is the detail on the ends of these coaches. These are all etched metal additional details. There's no moulding on here, and we've got the handrails as well, and it actually really does make those coach ends look really, really nice. The lining is straight and true, and there's just so much to like on the Great Northern Railway liveried versions. But for me, the one which I was actually waiting on probably more than any other livery is the South Eastern and Chatham. So I've got here one of those, and it's a very, very striking livery, very different from some of the birdcage coaches that we've already had through from other manufacturers in a South Eastern and Chatham Railway livery. These 6 and 4 wheelers are coming in what is actually quite a kind of carmine red, but picked out with this kind of creamy brown, and it really actually does look quite striking. In a way, it's reminiscent of BR Crimson, and actually one of the other versions here. We don't have the regular coaches in the crimson, but we do have this tool van, which again, one that I had my eye on. It's nice to see this in the samples, but this crimsony carmine colour really does look nice, set off so well with the white of the roof. And it kind of really conjures up that image of the Victorian into the Edwardian period so well. This is classic pre-grouping colour schemes. Again, this is a lit up example, and what I did actually, I was a bit sceptical of, it must be said, with the EP samples, of the amount of detail that was being put inside. But this really comes to its own in the lit up versions, and I'm going to show you some of the pictures I've got of these, all lit up on the layout, and actually it's surprising how much of that detail you can see. It really is a nice interior, and it does work so well. We've still got plenty of low down weight with these. The underframe detail as well, really exquisite, with all of the different braking systems and as and where necessary, the gas-powered lighting systems done so well. Now, again, another area on the EPs that I did wonder about is this very interesting sliding center axle arrangement, and I did worry that it might come across as being a bit obtrusive. But what I found is that when these are running, they handle the track really well, and it's not something that draws the eye. So actually it does work surprisingly well. When I've had them running around Weiryard, they've actually coped with curves right down to radius 1. And that's probably underneath what's recommended for these, but I have to put it out there, they did get round them and they didn't derail. So I've actually had them running over the most challenging section of Weiryard, which includes 5% grades both up and down, and those really tight corners, twisted track, point work, and these coaches actually got through all of that really well. Now, looking to some of the other liveries, the sleeper hit for me, I'm going to just show you this, is the LMS. Now, I think it was billed on the Hattons website. I've just gone and had a quick look, and it talks about Midland Railway livery. And certainly this LMS livery is very early LMS, and I guess they carried over the Midland Railway livery into the LMS period, but it is clearly lettered up with having the LMS on. But look at that livery. It's not one which was really in my sights at all as being a must-have item, but seeing it here in the flesh, the LMS is very much back on the table. And looking at these will be a fabulous companion with so many LMS locomotives on the market, because we've really been starved a little bit with suitable LMS coaches on the market. Yes, there are a few super detail, but certainly not in this really, really nice early LMS period, late Midland Railway period. And this is really, really nicely represented on these Genesis coaches. Another area, I'm going to move on to the tool van to show you this, is we've got two very distinct styles of wheels as well. We've got the ones with the wooden centres, and then clearly on the later BR period ones, we've got those replaced with metal disc wheels. And it's just, again, little details like that which really bring models alive. The tool van livery, really nice, crisp and sharp, and I can see this one being a really useful one for those people who maybe model very firmly into the BR era 4 and 5 period, but maybe want to have something a little bit different and interesting. Most, if not all, of these 4 and 6 wheel coaches had moved on from frontline service, some being sold for use with places like the Longmoor Military Railway or the National Coal Board, but British Rail did keep a number for more specialist purposes, such as breakdown train tool vans, and I think that these are going to do very, very well, given that the market has already seen the Bachmann breakdown crane that needs the associated wagons and coaches to run with that, and this is perfect for that. We've also got the Oxford Rail breakdown cranes, which are forthcoming, and again, these will make a really great addition to go with those, and it's the perfect excuse to have a single 6-wheel coach somewhere on your layout. It has to be said that some of these actually lasted with British Railways right through into the 1980s, and some of the liveries, as we talked about in that EP video, have included olive green for the engineers, and at least one has been photographed in blue-grey as part of an exhibition train. Looking over some of the other liveries, the Southern Railway, it's one which is sure to prove very, very popular, and the detail on this is subtle but well realised. Again, this is a lit version, and there's no light bleed through. I know that there was an area of concern, possibly with light bleed through from the ends with these windows, and actually these are done really, really well. The only minor detraction might be that you can see in there the metal pillars which is providing the power to the lighting strip in the roof, but actually they're not too bad. It would be nice perhaps if they'd have been painted black so they would be less obtrusive, but really that is nitpicking looking at that, and there is so much else on these coaches that really is sublime. Other liveries that we've got here, well, let's move on over to the Great Western Railway livery. Always a firm favourite, and these really are elegant in the finish. We've got that GWR crest in the middle there, and it is so nicely done. These remind me of some of the ratio kits, but built by expert model makers and finished by master craftsmen. You're getting this out of the box, and at the price actually, it's pretty reasonable when you consider what the kit would cost, the amount of hours to build it, and the skills and time and patience to get even close to a finish like this. The final two liveries that have been sent over amongst these, we've got London and North Western Railway, I believe. Again, really, really nice representation here. That cream is done really quite well. It's not white and it's not cream. It's a very particular colour, but Hattons have captured it so well. Particularly like those red window inserts where the drop lights are. It is really nicely done. Again, there's quite a wealth of different, very subtle detail differences between the different coaches, and they're all captured really well. On some of these ornate liveries, if you just look there at those wheels, the way that those faces are painted with the two different colours, we've got the brown and we've got the black on there, and it really does look something special. The final livery is one which again I think is going to prove really useful. London, Brighton and South Coast Railway mahogany. It's quite an austere livery compared with some of these other pre-grouping ones. But actually, this is going to be ever so useful, given that we've got so many different London, Brighton and South Coast Railway liveried locomotives on the market, and I think that these two will be surefire sellers. The one final coach which I'm really going to highlight here is the full brake. Now, I've talked about the departmental brake there, but actually in the London and North Western Railway livery we can really see just how nice that panelling looks on there, and it really does make what actually would be quite a workaday coach look like it could well be part of something like the Royal Train. These liveries are exquisite, and I have to say that looking at these, I really do think that these Genesis coaches are going to be something really special when they arrive. We've got a link down in the description box which takes you to the Hattons website where you can order all of these, and my predictions are the LMS liveries are going to be sleeper hits. That is an amazing livery and I am really impressed by them. The SE&CR as well, there's going to be high demand for these because we've seen the C-Class in 4 different versions in SE&CR livery. There's an N-Class in SE&CR livery, at least 2 versions of the H-Class. We have 3 different versions of the D-Class and also a Terrier locomotive as well, some P-Classes. There really is a wealth of locomotives that are just crying out for these to go with them. I think as well that the tool vans will prove exceptionally popular, and look out for these Great Northern Railway liveried ones too. That teak finish is sublime. So overall, you're probably asking yourself, what am I going to be looking to pick up? Well, these really are beautiful coaches, and I think actually surprisingly I'm going to be looking towards a full set of the LMS ones. They weren't on my radar, but having seen these livery samples, they very firmly are now. I'm also impressed with the tool van, and I think that there would certainly be room in my collection for the South Eastern and Chatham Railway as well. The Great Northern Railway ones too, well gosh, this is going to become an expensive year, but I think that these are well worth it. Available in singles, but also value packs of 4, which are basically an instant train in a box. All the coaches are available both in lit versions and unlit versions, so there is an awful lot to pick from. Hattons has already announced that if these are successful, we've got batch 2 and even batch 3 coming through. So if you're looking for Lancashire and Yorkshire livery, BR Olive Green, and also Caledonian Railway, Longmore Military Railway livery, and NCB, those are likely to come out in future batches, and certainly these are ones to watch. So in summary, these are really great coaches, and I'm really thankful to Hattons for giving me the opportunity to take a really close look at these. These get the Jenny Kirk thumbs up seal of approval. Get your orders in now because these are certain to sell out quickly. Well, I hope you really enjoyed that video, and we've got a link in the description box down below which takes you to the Hattons website where you can order all of the coaches that you've seen today and the full range. And just remember that these coaches are available from Hattons. They're doing them singly with one of each of the different versions, but also they're doing value packs of 4 suitable coaches in each livery, which means that you can very easily pick up enough coaches to make up a decent train. And of course you can add to those with these single examples too. They're producing lit and unlit versions, so whether you want the lights or not, they've got coaches for you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to share it as well. It's a really great way of letting other people know about some of the items that we've been able to take a good close look at here on the channel. Also consider subscribing to the channel and check us out over on Patreon, and you too can help to become a supporter of the channel and help us to continue to make the videos that you want to see. I also really love to hear from you all. Do please leave a comment down below. I'd like to know your thoughts on these coaches. Are they something special, or is there something that you've spotted in the review which you think maybe I've missed? Which are your favourite liveries from all of those that I've shown today? And which of these are on your must-have list? And maybe what other liveries maybe would you love to see? Love to hear from you all, and I do read all of your comments, even if I don't have time to answer every single one. And until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take great care of yourself. I can't wait to see you back here next time. Until then, take care. Happy modelling. Bye for now. I'd like to send out a huge thanks to everybody who supports me on Patreon. And an extra special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Offshore Allen, oorail.co.uk, Michael Lockie, Helen Sink, Peter Bolton, Brian and Dorothy Mudd, Gary Lewis, David Quinn, Sparky107107, George Botterini, Chris Moss, Robert Steers, MD of San Juan Model Company and Grantline Products, Sam Yates, Dale Williams, John N from NC, NYMRish, Jonathan Foster, Peter, Graham Foster, Clifford Ison, Larry W. Grant, and NI Railways 4000 class. Thank you. Without you guys, I couldn't do this.